Right then peeps, the Premier League is back this weekend. We're all buzzing for it, and I've just filmed a video walking around the nearest football pitch to where I live on the top 10 most valuable Premier League players according to Transfermarkt. Hit that like button, and on my phone we're going to look at every 24-25 Premier League home kit. Let's do this. So let's start off in alphabetical order. Let's start off with Arsenal, of course. Now the Arsenal home shirt, I think they wore it on their final Premier League game last season, didn't they? I really like it. I mean, let's be honest, even as a rival fan, I'll get on to why I'm wearing a Forest shirt, by the way, in a moment. I did mention it in the other video. Arsenal always have really nice kits. Now, made by Adidas, of course. This season they've gone for that blue trim. They've got the 3 stripes on the arms, blue, and obviously they've got a little bit of blue as like a trim around the outside as well. Absolutely love it. That's not something new that they're just trying to be different and unique with. Arsenal traditionally have had bits of blue on their kits in the past. For that reason, what am I going to rate this? It's got to be a solid 8 out of 10 straight away. For me, I do love a collar. I love a proper Cantona collar up look. So for that reason, if that kit had a collar, I'd probably rate that 9 out of 10. I'm tempted to give it 8.5. Do you know what? Nah, let's go 8 out of 10. 8 out of 10. Next up, we've got Aston Villa. Now Villa, of course, had Castor last season, or the last couple of seasons. They've moved on to Adidas, similar or same as Arsenal. I'll be honest, I mean, most Villa kits look nice. The colour scheme is beautiful. The claret and blue lends itself to a lovely kit. And the kit is nice. It is nice, but I feel like Adidas have played it quite safe in their first year with Villa. Lovely. I mean, the blue is very much a baby blue. It's a very light blue. Sometimes Villa have more of like a turquoisey, slightly darker blue. I do like that shade of blue on the sleeves. They've gone for the claret 3 stripes. Betano, not the best of sponsors, but I think most Villa fans would agree it's better than, what was the last one? BK8, and it had that big orange 8. So because they played it quite safe, but it is still a nice shirt, let's go 7.5 out of 10. I don't know why I'm pacing around, by the way. I'm absolutely knackered already walking around. So we're moving on to Bournemouth. Now Bournemouth have got a new, well, most of these teams have a new shirt. There is one on the list who've retained the shirt from last season. A red and black thick striped design. The Bournemouth home shirt is quite nice. They've got a gold Umbro logo, a gold BJ88 sponsor. I'll be honest with you, I have no idea what BJ88 is, but I'm guessing it's probably a betting sponsor, which for me marks any kit down. But in terms of aesthetics, it's nice. Again, Bournemouth do have very nice kits. I'm never quite sure on the Bournemouth badge. I did see a rumour they were going to go back to the cherry type badge, but it is nice. I don't think it's as safe. It's a little bit more risque than Villa's, for example. It's made by Umbro, and I'm always a fan of Umbro. For me, it's not as good as Arsenal's. Is it as good as Villa's? Yeah, I think they've gone a little bit risque, but I like it. 7.5 out of 10. Now I mentioned that certain teams are keeping kits or the changes of kits to every 2 years like they did back in the day, which for me is a bloody great thing to do. So I'm going to mark up Brentford's home shirt more than what I probably did, or raise it higher than I did last season. I mean, in terms of a kit, I don't think it's their best one. I do prefer normal stripes as opposed to the gradient type stripes. They've got the black under the sleeves, obviously made by Umbro. For some reason, I used to think their sponsor was Hollywood Bowl. I don't know if you guys have a bowling alley near you called Hollywood Bowl. We do here in Cheltenham, but it's actually not. It's Hollywood Bets. So even though I'm going to mark them up for keeping their kit an extra year, I'm going to mark them down for that bloody sponsor. I'm worried this is going to be a list of 7.5s. But yeah, I'm going to give it another 7.5. There's me going on about teams playing it safe, and here I am with my rating, 7.5 out of 10 for Brentford. Next up, we've got Brighton. Now, Brighton, again, always have quite nice kits. The colour scheme is very nice, blue and white. They've gone for more traditional, kind of thinner stripes. As far as I can see, there's no yellow on this kit. Brighton have been having little bits of yellow on their kits lately. You know, our good friends over at the Albion Obsessed podcast are big fans of the new Brighton shirt, and I think rightfully so. The only thing now with striped shirts is they have to kind of keep the sleeves neutral, don't they, because of the sleeve sponsors. Back in the day, you'd get shirts with stripy sleeves as well. They've gone for those plain white sleeves like an Arsenal kit but it's really nice, and I think it's better than a 7.5. I'm going to say this Brighton kit, very tricky. I'm going to say 8. Let's say 8. By the way, I was just chatting to the postman over in the distance. He's from Romania, but a Manchester United fan, and I said, no way, like me. And he goes, why are you wearing a Forest shirt then? So I thought I'd better explain before we carry on with the kits. The reason I'm wearing a Nottingham Forest shirt is because somebody gave me a nice comment saying enjoying the content, but can you be a little bit less biased towards Manchester United? So I thought I'm going to do that. You guys watch the channel, and last season we very much made videos from a neutral perspective. We threw a bit of bait out there, we had a little bit of banter, but just to show you guys that this channel is for everyone, not just for United fans, I thought I'd wear a Forest shirt. And we actually bought this Forest shirt from the club shop last season in a game for Nottingham Forest versus Fulham. They were selling the Forest shirts at that time. I think it was in like March, maybe even before then. They were selling the shirts for a mere 20 quid. Now let's be honest, if shirts normally went for 20 quid, none of us would be on DHgate buying shirts, would we? Speaking of which, there is a lot of DHgate shirts on order, so if you do like your football kit videos, stay tuned because we have a massive DHgate order on its way. Moving on guys, we've got Chelsea. Now I recently said Chelsea have become a mess of a club due to the ownership and being run by old Todd Bowley. Now the shirt represents that mess beautifully because the pattern design on the shirt can only be described as a bloody mess. So the messy Chelsea home shirt, I'm not a fan of these messy designs. They went a bit crazy a couple of years ago, didn't they? But I thought that last one they went crazy with was quite a nice shirt, whereas this one here, I just feel like not a fan of it at all. No offence to Chelsea fans, by the way. You know, I've got respect for the club. I just hate foreign owners using Premier League clubs as a toy. Of course, United being guilty of that with the Glazers for so many years. I do worry for Chelsea. In the Premier League predictions, we put them as 9th this season. The kit, however, 4 out of 10. Now next up, I'm going to sound like a massive hypocrite because we've got another messy design. We've got Crystal Palace. However, I just said I wasn't going to be biased. Nothing against Chelsea, I just really wasn't a fan of that shirt. However, Macron's kits this season I feel like have been absolute bangers, not just in the Premier League, overseas, in the EFL and so on. Macron are absolutely killing it at the moment. So I am a fan of the Crystal Palace shirt. It's not like messy and swirly like Chelsea's. It's kind of got this kind of electric-y, I don't even know how to describe that shirt. It's really nice. I really like it when teams take a risk and it pays off. You know, Chelsea might take a risk next season and their kit might pay off, but for me, Crystal Palace's has definitely paid off. And I'm going to give that shirt 8 out of 10. So we mentioned about Aston Villa leaving Castor. Well, Castor have picked up Everton for this season. Now the Everton home shirt is quite safe. I mean, Castor haven't really taken any risks, but I wasn't that much of a fan of the shiny one they had last season. I can't remember who made last season's Everton shirt, but the new one for me is a little bit safe. It's by no means inoffensive. A lot of people do like the classic designs, and I can see Everton fans, Evertonians, the Toffees, really liking this year's design. I don't want to say 7.5, but unfortunately, I think I might have to. 7.5 out of 10 for Everton. I don't often get people recognise me, but a couple of lads in the distance, Chatham Town fans, said, "Oi, Ryan." I was just pleased somebody knew my actual name. People think I'm called Reese for some reason. It's Rise, like Rise. Rye for Ryan. Anyway, not that you care, you do care about kits though. On to Fulham's home kit. Now I think this is an absolute banger. As we said at the start of the video, it's got a collar, and we love a collar here at Rise Football Paradise. The colouring with black and bits of red, made by Adidas. For me, this is an absolute banger by Fulham. Big fan of the club, by the way. I'd say Craven Cottage was probably one of the most beautiful grounds in England. I'd say the best kit so far on the list. We gave Brighton's 8 out of 10, didn't we, along with Arsenal. I'm going to say this is an 8.5 out of 10 for Fulham. Right then guys, next up is arguably one of the best Premier League kits this season. But before we get onto that, make sure you have hit that like button and subscribe if you're new. We've almost hit 25,000 subscribers, so help us get there and smash that sub button. So the next one on the list is Ipswich Town. Now this, for me, is an absolute banger. This might well be the very best, as I just said. Now, the away and the third is very eccentric, it's got to be said, but we'll get onto those in another video. The home has that classic look. It has got pinstripes, which I suppose is a little bit different, but it's got that shield around the badge. I think they had that in the 94-95 season, didn't they? When they were in the Premier League that season. It is absolutely gorgeous. Now, it's made by Umbro, but what makes this a little bit different from other Umbro kits is the fact that the middle diamond is red. Now, Umbro used to do this quite a lot back in the day, but looking at that Umbro logo, looking at the Ipswich badge with the shield around it, and I think the sponsor is something to do with Ed Sheeran. I'm not like a listener of his music, but fair play for Ed Sheeran, because obviously he's a part owner, isn't he? And obviously a big Ipswich Town fan. Everything about that shirt is beautiful. So I'm going to give the Ipswich Town home shirt a whopping 9 out of 10. By the way, we have moved on to a different park, and this is pretty cool. Have a look at this. I think that's supposed to be goalposts. Got steel netting. Very nice. Next on the list, guys, we've got Leicester City, made by Adidas. The shirt is, you know, it's quite plain, I'm going to be honest with you. A bit of an Adidas template this season. Not a million miles off the Manchester United one we'll get onto in a moment, but blue, of course. I'm not sure what that sponsor is. BC Game? I'm guessing, is that something to do with betting or crypto? I'm not too sure. It's plain, it's inoffensive, but it's rather unimaginative for me. So I'm going to give the Leicester City home shirt a 7 out of 10. Moving on to Liverpool. Now, I've seen the Liverpool home shirt come under a lot of criticism this season, even from Liverpool fans. A lot of people really aren't a fan of the new Liverpool shirt, but for me, I really like it. Can you imagine that? A United fan bigging up a Liverpool shirt? Really nice. I love the collar. I mean, United, they got quite a simple, like a smaller version of that collar. This is unique. It's got like one of those crazy designs, but I feel like it works. Unlike the Chelsea one, it's quite an eccentric design. You've got a yellowy gold Nike swoosh along with the simplified Liverpool badge. I don't know what Liverpool fans think of the badge. I just prefer the more complicated emblem with the bit of green on. I prefer their actual badge as opposed to these simplified designs, but I know it's also a throwback to old kits. Standard Chartered as a sponsor, they've had that for a few years now. Yeah, I like it. I actually do like that Liverpool shirt. I'm going to give that 8 out of 10. Next up, we've got another rival. We've got Manchester City. Now, it's got to be said, that blue lends itself to naturally a high rating. It's a lovely colour of blue. I'm going to be, you know, unbiased. I've got the Nottingham Forest shirt on. Puma are smashing it. I mean, I'm not a fan of the away, but I'll get onto that again in another video. I like the trim around the collar and the sleeve trims of the City home shirt. It's got enough there to make it unique, but it's also quite classic and contemporary. So it kind of suits both those who like a classic, rather plain shirt, but then those who like rather unique, different designs. It's somewhere in the middle, and I like it. So for that reason, I'm going to give Manchester City an 8 out of 10 also. Moving on to the big one, the irony. My favourite club, we've got the collar of a Manchester United shirt, which again, for me, is like a smaller version of the Liverpool one we just rated, but this is not a Nike-made kit, a Nike, however you want to say it, made kit. Adidas, of course, make the Manchester United kits. Now, the home shirt, for me, I have been quite critical of in the past. I mean, partly because the away and the third are bangers. I love the away and the third shirts this season. The home is playing it safe. For me, as I said, it's like a red version of the Leicester shirt. Nothing too out there and imaginative with the Manchester United home shirt. For me, nothing wrong with it, like the Leicester one, but nothing great about it either. What did I give Leicester's one? 7 out of 10. For me, exactly the same. Man United's 7 out of 10. If you missed the last video on the top 10 most valuable Premier League players, I said I'm doing these videos out and about to try and get a bit of exercise, try and get my steps in as well. And I'm already puffing as we make it up the hill. Right then, guys, next on the list, we've got Newcastle United. Now, this was built up quite a lot. When we heard that Newcastle were returning to Adidas, fans were getting excited, and they have done throwbacks. The away is a throwback of that, was it the 95-96 season when they should have won the Premier League? The third kit's got the old NUFC badge, but I feel again, similar to Manchester United, Adidas have played it a little bit too safe with the home. It's got a similar collar to the United one, but again, I mean, it's similar to the Juve one, lots of other clubs that are black and white stripes. It's not bad again. If it wasn't striped, you would say it was plain like Man United's and Leicester's. So for that reason, I'm going to give the Newcastle home one 7 out of 10. Now with the Brentford one, we commended them for sticking to changes of shirt every 2 years. Now I feel like some clubs, their shirts barely change year after year, and that can never be more evident with Nottingham Forest. Just take a look at the shirt I'm wearing. It's quite plain. You've got the 3 stripes, you've got a white collar. But if you look at Forest's shirt this season, it's pretty much exactly the same, but with a red collar. Not very different at all. It does look like there's some detailing within the shirt, but at first glance, looking at the sleeve sponsor, I think the sleeve sponsor's the same, the main sponsor's the same. Really, really plain, basic, unimaginative from either Forest or Adidas, whoever's guilty of this. So for that reason, even though it is plain and again, inoffensive, the lack of change from last year's, for me, I'm going to give it 6.5 out of 10. I don't dislike the shirt, but the fact that it looks pretty much the same. If they're going to sell them for 20 quid, like they were doing with this one, fair enough. But for me, you're ripping off fans with that little a change. Up the next hill, here we go. Let's get our fitness up, guys. Whew. Moving on to Southampton. I did say that Puma are smashing it. Did I say Puma are smashing it? They are smashing it, if I didn't say it. And Southampton have moved to Puma. What were they before? Hummel, weren't they? They were Hummel. And I do feel like this was a good move. As much as I did like that classic Hummel design from last year, the return to conventional stripes with a black Puma logo, a black collar. Rollbit is a sponsor. I've never heard of that again. I'm guessing that's some kind of casino gambling thing. But let's be honest, the shirt looks bloody nice and it is very different from last year's, unlike Forest. So for that reason, is it as good as City's? I don't know. I don't know if it is. It's either a 7.5 or an 8 out of 10. Let's go 7.5. Not too bad. Right then, back to the original park. We're now on to Tottenham Hotspur. Spurs. Is the shirt Spursy? I don't even know what that's supposed to mean. The shirt's all right though. I do find though Tottenham find it quite difficult to make their shirts unique. As I said, Forest, very similar year upon year, but at least Tottenham do try. Sometimes you get a rather plain white kind of Real Madrid-esque shirt. They've tried changing it up, ironically, with the sleeves. Now we know Tottenham's arch rivals are Arsenal and they have different colour sleeves. Tottenham have done a similar thing to Arsenal, believe it or not. They've got the navy blue sleeves on the go. They've got a lovely trim to the sleeves though. I mean, it's not traditional, and I know the traditionalists, those who love kind of, yeah, traditional Spurs shirt might not like this one, but I do find, yeah, I like it. I do like it a lot actually. Made by Nike, so I'm going to give this Tottenham shirt a, I don't know if I'm going to go as far as 8 out of 10. We're going to get that dreaded 7.5 once again, I think. I do love the away and third shirts, but again, we'll get onto those in the next video. 7.5 out of bloody 10. Now West Ham's, I was a little bit disappointed on first impression because, again, I thought it was quite similar to last season's. But the more I look at West Ham's shirt, the more I like it. When I seen Nicholas Füllkrug, their new centre-forward from Borussia Dortmund, when I seen him pictured in that West Ham shirt, those gorgeous cuffs. This is made by Umbro, by the way. Again, a massive fan of Umbro shirts. The emblem is, they've changed the colour scheme up a little bit on the badge. They've got that bluey kind of background to the Hammers badge. It's classic. I know, again, hypocritical. I said I prefer a collar, and this has got a round neck, but it does feel like a shirt Bobby Moore would have worn. Martin Peters, Jeff Hurst. And maybe West Ham fans like us, United fans who are stuck in the 90s, maybe West Ham fans are stuck in that era, but there's nothing wrong with that when that shirt is that bloody beautiful. So I'm going to go 8.5. I'm going to be kind. West Ham, 8.5. Now I was going to say last but not least, but looking at the Wolves shirt, maybe it will be the least, because obviously first impressions have you looking at the manufacturer. Who even is that? Sudo I've never heard of Sudo in my bloody life. And I was reading that this is the first time Wolves have had their badge in the centre of their shirt since possibly the 70s. Correct me, Wolves fans, if I'm wrong. Maybe there's a reason why. They've got their hideous sponsor, DeBet, which again I'm guessing is a betting sponsor, marks down for the sponsor. I'm not going to be one of those that kind of big up the likes of Nike and Adidas and the bigger, bigger manufacturers, because I think it's nice when different manufacturers turn up and break the mold. You know, when Asics used to make shirts in the 90s, and you had a spell of, I think Lonsdale made some shirts like Blackburns in the 2000s. But the round neck, the cuffs, they feel like a cheap DHgate version of that West Ham shirt with a badge in the middle. Really not a fan of the Wolves shirt this year. The old man won't be happy because my stepdad is a Wolves fan. I shouldn't really be dissing them actually, because we are going to be watching Wolves versus Liverpool in September next month, I think. So we need to be quite kind, as we will be at Molineux. Nothing against Wolves though, I love the club, but the shirt unfortunately not as bad as Chelsea's, but a 5 out of 10 for me. 5 out of 10 for Wolves. That concludes, ladies and gents, our 24-25 home Premier League shirt ratings. Do you agree with my ratings? Do you heavily disagree? Get involved in the comments down below.